Okay, today I have another film breakdown of Chris Fake. Let's get right into our first clip. Okay, now the main thing I want to note with this clip is the ideology when you're playing defense of the start of your cover. Now, me personally, I think that whenever you start a cover in almost every scenario, you should start in a back pedal and then drop into a drop step, rather than immediately going into the drop step. So in this clip, we see Chris Fake. He jumps into that back pedal and then he goes into the drop step rather than initiating the drop step first. So see that little back pedal and then he comes into that drop step. And that, if you initiate into a drop step immediately, instead, you're kind of opening your hips a certain way so that for the attackman before he opens his. So you're going to end up with the attackman seeing which way you're dropping and he can drop the other way. And the other thing I want to note with this clip is just his hip mobility and hip strength. Being able to plant off one foot like that and keep up with his man, because he finds himself in a little bit of a heavy trail position. So trying to catch up, but also trying to defend that rollback is, you need to be very athletic, have very good hip strength, and have a lot of knowledge on body language of your attackman. And here's our second clip. The one thing I want to note in this clip is, so we see our pick right here. Now, as a defender from X, not necessarily from up top, but from X, if you're not planning on switching, as a defender, you want to backpedal to your level with that pick so you can see it, and he can't move. So once you're able to see it, you know where it is. So you're going to see Chris, he backpedals until he's levels with it. So he's level with the pick, and then he starts his drop step, and he sees his man cuts back. So he cuts back with it and has good coverage. But the main thing there is just backpedal until you're level with that pick and then initiate your drop step. Because if you come over the pick, you might force a switch with the short stick, and then you have a bad matchup from X. Let's go into our next clip. Okay, the one thing I want to note with this clip is his trail position. When you're guarding a guy from X, it's important that you're not ahead of him, because when you're ahead of someone, when you're guarding from X and from anywhere on the field, you're prone to a rollback. So if we watch Chris, he's always behind his man in a slight trail position because he has the benefit of the angle, because he can go through the crease, so he's able to trail. So he stays in the trail position, but if you notice, his stick is still making a little bit of contact, so he's still with the man. Slight trail position, he closes out, his man roll back, and he's there. Okay, here's the next clip. Now, the one thing I want to say about this is one of the hardest positions as a defender in lacrosse, in my opinion. This topside seal pick just gives up the sweep so easily if you don't switch. So your two options are to try to climb over the pick, or do what Chris does here and get under the pick and try to seal. So if we watch, he sees the pick initially, he comes down, checks his right shoulder, checks his left shoulder, gets under it, and he's able to seal that top side, right? So if you are going to take this initiative of going under and sealing, you need to get under that pick very early so that you have some time to actually close out that distance between you and your midi. So if you're slower than your midi, you're going to have a lot of issues here. While getting over the pick, I don't hate that, but it's also giving you, when you're playing over the pick, you're giving up the alley a lot more because you're so focused on trying to get over that pick. And if the pick hits you a little bit and the guy rolls back, he has that entire alley. I'll play that again. Gets under, it's a couple slap checks and seals out. So here's our last clip. Okay, so what I want to note here is Chris loses his positioning, right? So at a certain point in this clip, he's not in a good position. So he starts off, he's playing super aggressive as man, comes into that back pedal, he's in a pretty good position right now, Maybe he was getting over that pick that messed him up. But right here, his man's at 5-5. This isn't a great position for him. He'd much rather have him pushed out even more. But then he starts climbing even more, and he creates that separation. Now, a couple of things could happen with this type of separation at this point in the field. He has opportunity for rollback, but Chris is probably there. But the biggest threat is just that curl to the top side. Because as a defender, top side is the worst thing you can do. So what Chris does really well here is with that space, he's super fast, so he's able to close it out and be extremely aggressive. Because if he's soft here and lets out the top side, it's a goal. So he comes up and closes out and rolls him back. And he's kind of on a stumbling on the ground, and he passes it off. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much.